It's Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. I want to welcome everyone to today's edition of the Hagmann Report. Doug Hagmann coming to you live from our studios right here in western Pennsylvania, northwestern Pennsylvania. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and thank you for your belief and trust in this platform, everything that you do. I want to thank the people who have joined us on Rumble, live in the chat. You know, obviously, folks, Rumble is not necessarily the destination of choice, shall we say, in terms of video platforms. It should be, though, and it's extremely difficult unless you pay. We pay for the bandwidth, we pay for the platforming, but in terms of the exposure. There are people with just a lot of money that put a lot of money into the exposure. We don't do that. We just simply pay for the platforming. And quite frankly, it's, hey, if you want to pay for exposure and whatever, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's up to the people. It's up to them, right? A lot of stuff to talk about today. This has been, I just have to say, this has been a tremendously rough week for all of us. Here, we've been, folks, you know that I consult on cases. I do work, active cases with respect to rescuing children, vulnerable adults, vulnerable victims, shall we say. And this has been an extraordinarily busy week in that regard. So, I thank God that we can do that. And it's because of you that we're able to do that. And I just want to say thank you. The victimization of children, the victimization of women, some young men, some older men and older women. It's bad. It's very bad. And who are they being victimized by? Well, whoever can victimize them. We're seeing a lot of the artifacts from the open borders. I don't think I could stress this enough. What happened over the last few years with respect to the open borders, letting these people into the U.S. When I say these people, who am I referring to? We don't know. I mean, we know they're bad people, but letting them into the U.S. to do whatever. The number of child rape victims, murder victims, exploited children has increased dramatically. If you look at, and I have to caution people, there are no legitimate statistics that you can actually point to. I don't care if the DOJ publishes whatever they publish. Now, they're not necessarily wrong. They're just incomplete, and they're not. There are some errors, but they're not necessarily. They're more of errors by omission. Okay, in this case, right now. Now, we've noticed this, and this is so important for everyone to understand, please. We've noticed this change. The record keeping, and I'm trying to really explain this as best as I know how, because I experience it on the consumer end, or the user, not the consumer, but the user end on the proprietary databases. Because we are a licensed entity here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we do have access to various databases that are not internet-based, okay? I mean, well, they use the internet as the means but The average person down the street just cannot log on to a database like this and get access to the information. You have to be vetted, and you have to provide the credentials, and then of course you have to pay a monthly fee, and then you have to pay per inquiry, and then from there you are audited. Now it could be per inquiry, depending on the database. Not really per inquiry with all of them, but some. And then the audit will be random, and you have to show cause for making an inquiry into an individual, a reasonable investigative predicate for doing so. And there's a reason why I'm explaining this to you, because I really want to provide to those people who've supported us. I want to provide you the explanation of how we operate very quickly, because then you'll understand what you're seeing on your end, where it's coming from on our end, and why we say certain things. Okay, so just with respect to data, accessing data, all right, this is extremely important. There are databases that exist out there that are artifact, or they're the consequence of the surveillance state. I don't know how else to put it, or the consequence of the various, well, DMV, for example, or voter registration, or the Pathonetary's office, or name a division of a county court, or of a state court, or even a federal court, or federal database, or state database. So it's not like an a la carte thing, although it can be, but generally speaking, it's all or nothing. So in other words, we may not ever use a section of the database that we have access to, but we still have to pay for it on a monthly basis. And then, of course, if we do use that, then we're charged for that, and then we're asked why we used it. We have to provide sufficient proof for the reason, or the sufficient reason for using that. Okay. Does that sound confusing? I didn't make it. I didn't want to make it sound confusing, but it's really not. So we take all of this information, and I'm not talking. Now, some people may say, "Well, it's kind of like LexisNexis, for example." I mean, people can have access to that. Well, no, this is much more personal, much deeper and such. All right. So, having said that, oftentimes when we have a case of a missing child, or child abduction, or intra-family issue with children, trafficking even, we will consult that database. We will compile a dossier on potential perpetrators, and then of course the information about the child, which we would already have, and move forward in that fashion, already having this foundational package dossier on the basically on the individuals involved in whatever we might be looking at. This is the same. It's the same way too when we're investigating the Islamic takeover of America. It goes the same way when we're looking at the takeover by the left, by the communist left. Okay. Now, where we run into some issues is, and this does, sadly, it does happen when we have some of the law enforcement agencies, individuals, officers, whatever, who are actually party to a trafficking situation. You tap into a federal or state officer, law enforcement, generally federal, state, yes, local, that's a crapshoot. But if you hit that in terms of a database inquiry, man, flags go up, bells go off, and you get a call. we get a call. Hey, um, you're looking at a federal agent. What the hell's going on? What are you doing? uh, or to be more precise, you attempted to access records because they will block that. Why did I mention all of this? We spoke the other day when Taylor was on. We spoke the other day about the the infiltration of our country. And again, I'm seeing this right now play out locally and within the region. After 4, 5, 6 years, well, 4 years specifically of Biden, and then that kind of a cushion on the end cap of that, as well as the lead into the Biden regime, Mayorkas Biden. It just has gotten, or that period of time was just this unbridled, unfettered rush into the U.S. Right now we're dealing with that. We're picking up the pieces from that. We're seeing the rapes and murders, the mysterious disappearances, the loss of children, even at the county level, state level, and federal level. You'll often read, for example, it's 140,000 children that were found, but the rest are still missing, or the reverse of that. Here's the honest truth. They don't know how many children have been trafficked during that 4 years plus of Biden Mayorkas. They don't know. Their best guess is the lowest estimate. That's the sad part. Now, we already had a problem here in the U.S. with respect to the intra-family issues. And inter-family, but intra-family. And let me specifically state the difference. There are places in the U.S. where it's very common, sadly, where families will traffic young children to other families. Okay. Now, you may have an FBI agent in your family or a friend or whatever and mention that. And depending on what part of the country they have been to in that capacity, they'll say, well, I've never heard of that. Or, oh, yeah. Think, for example, and again, this is just an example, cornbread mafia in the, shall we say, the southeast, the mountainous region down there of the U.S. And I first heard that, well, I didn't, that term has been associated with the Summer Wells disappearance. Okay. But think in terms of that. For example, in terms of inter-family, and then intra-family, a lot to designate, to state that differently is oftentimes a woman will grab the children and run. Then you have to differentiate. Well, is she seeking refuge away from an abusive husband or whatever? Well, when you kind of clean everything up, then you have to decide whether there is something else going on. And generally speaking, we get the something else going on part over here. Okay, in terms of having to find the children. So we've been very active in that, and your support to this platform supports all of that. But since we can't do that full time, quite frankly, we're getting old, getting a little gray, have quite a lot of mileage on us. That's why Shatter Ops is such a great organization. That's why Vets for Child Rescue, a great organization, and SaveThem.org. They're great organizations. We work with them when they allow us. No, I mean, we do work with them. And they do a great job. So that's where your support goes, in addition to giving us the expense money to support the platform so we can talk about this to a larger audience. But we're very frugal with that. As I said, we don't pay to have, hey, let's pay for clicks. No, we don't do that. So the reason I mention all of this is to tell you that everything that we're going to tell you and that we're going to show you, some of it's not our material. I mean, much of it's not our material, but it's representative of our findings. Okay. Now, we have other material here that I think we will show you. But first and foremost, we have to earn your trust and come to you from a position of you trusting us to get the real information. Earlier, I mentioned about the numbers not being kept by the Department of Justice. Look, the numbers of trafficked children, the lost children, shall we say, some say, well, we got 450,000 missing. Well, they found 140,000. Let me tell you, the numbers are a heck of a lot worse than that. If you can imagine, so much worse. All right. This also comes into the doors being open, or this also opens up into the doors of the country being open and allowing the paramilitary aged males into this country. This is not new. It's been going on in earnest really since right after well, I'll tell you what, since world travel has been made much easier through planes and trains and automobiles, okay? But the biggest spike in numbers in terms of invasion, without any doubt, of course, came with Biden and Mayorkas. Now, Mayorkas is a Cuban communist. And Alejandro, look, I doubt that you'll ever hear my words. But if you have a problem with me calling you a Cuban communist, then let me know. But I think we have sufficient evidence to prove that point. What we're seeing right now is the merging, and I'll bring RT on. We're seeing the merging, as we mentioned earlier, but please understand how important this is. Let me back up and rephrase what I was about to say. There was a plan in place when Obama was elected. You're familiar with it. 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Hillary, right? That was the plan. Now, whether you like Donald Trump or you hate him or don't care, that was the plan. Donald Trump kind of he screwed that plan up pretty big, right? The blowback from 2016, well, we see it. We saw it. We saw the Crossfire Hurricane and everything they talk about. I think it's important for everyone to understand the context. It's not just they wanted Hillary in and Donald Trump out because they hated Donald Trump and they really didn't want a Republican. That is surface level stuff. No. Hillary Clinton, Obama are agents of change. They're hired guns. And as in that office, as president, it's not what they could do as much as what they could have others do. The changes they can make through cabinet appointments, through the institutional contamination or contamination of institutions like the Department of Justice. That's what they were tasked with. Now, with Biden, you can almost take a look at when Biden, his hands kind of dropped the reins, so to speak, which is about 10 to 12 months into his term, roughly. That's when Obama, based on everything that we're seeing, really took over. So Biden maybe had somewhat of some control, a little bit at that level for the first 10 to 12 months. And then, bada bing, Obama came in because Biden just, he's out Mr. Chia Pet. Right? So, really, everything subsequent to 2016 has been so embattled. Every institution, every value that we hold dear has been attacked and continues to be attacked. And where this is really manifesting the most is in the I would have to say you're looking at the Islamic takeover combined with the color revolution at the hands of our intelligence community and really the Five Eyes group, and then the perversion of our culture, our education systems, plural, our industries, which is somewhat connected, but they're being sold off to other countries. Also the invasion that few people are talking about anymore or with any regularity is the takeover of our farmland by foreign countries, especially China. And then you have the paramilitary infrastructure being built in this country by the Muslims. Now, about the latter, there is a huge element of child trafficking in that area. When you have a system, not a religion, but a system that permits adherence to that culture, perverse culture, to marry and have sex with children, yes, children, and many children, then of course you have a big problem. The problem becomes even worse when you have apologists for those actions because, of course, that's covered by the freedom of religion. And of course, we had said Islam is not a religion. And one last thing, and I'm sure Randy Taylor's going to agree with me on this. Let's not get cute with the words, okay? I mean, Islamic. Okay, so I heard Glenn Beck. I don't know if I have. I heard Glenn Beck. I started listening to it, and quite frankly, I stopped because I don't know what. I did not give it my fair shake. Okay, but he was talking about Islam and Islamism. Did I say that right? Let's not get cute with the words, okay? There's no difference. Just as there's no difference, jihad meaning an inner struggle versus jihad meaning the, kill everybody struggle. No, there's only one. There's only one. Again, don't get cute with the words. Don't fall for that crap. Well, the good verses, there are good verses in the Quran. And look, it's a death cult. Islam is not a religion. It's a system that has a religion. Well, has a cult that has a built-in cult that is classified by the people who don't know anything as a religion. And they're making allies everywhere. And they're also funded, heavily funded, extremely heavily funded. I mean, when you consider Islam in the 6th century was founded in Saudi Arabia, for example. Okay, I mean, you got to understand, the money is, even today, is just endless. Elements, so the support structure of Islam they've been designated as, for example, the Muslim Brotherhood, the very people who prop up, or the very organization that props up people like Keith Ellison and other people like him, they've been designated as terrorist organizations by President Trump. Muslims of the Americas, which, are near and dear to my heart, yeah, they were designated in the 90s, 80s, 90s for a terrorist organization responsible for numerous homicides, bombings, burnings, rapes, murders, a lot of drug trafficking, as well as kidnappings and child trafficking. So there's that. But there are many other organizations like that. But let's not differentiate, because there is no difference. There is no difference between Islam and Islamicist, whatever that word is. None. All right, I'm going to bring Randy Taylor on. We've got a lot to talk about. I just want to, but again, I wanted to thank you for all of that, for your support, understanding what we do, because a lot of times people say, well, man, why should we support you? Well, you don't have to, but this is this is what we do with your support. And from the bottom of my heart, to every one of you, understand that you have changed a lot. Your support has changed lives. And here's a sad thing. We can't show you, because you're talking about very traumatic stuff. Children rescued from just incredibly horrible situations, that the last thing that they need is any kind of light shown upon them. No, they need treatment. They need health care. They need health services. They need psychological treatment. They need a lot. Getting to them is a big deal. And then, of course, once they're taken out of that situation, then the work really starts. And then, of course, there's the prosecution side. And lately I've been on that side more than the other side. And that's a whole big job, by the way, to attempt to get either a U.S. attorney is different, but a district attorney, it's a big job to get them to go after, to press charges. Especially in the blue states. Now this I will make political. The Soros-backed DAs. Are you kidding me? And then once you get over that hurdle, then the judges. You got to get before a judge. And then let's say DA good, judge good. Then if you have a jury trial, you better have a dozen and a few alternates that haven't been brainwashed by the MSM, by the legacy media, by the teachers, by the others. We're losing on all fronts, though. We're losing. We have wins, but when you look at the totality of things, we're losing because the jury pools are mind-numbed, brainwashed. The judges are activists or ideologically compromised or just plain compromised. The DAs are gun-shy. The police, well, that's why I asked one time, what's worse, a lazy cop or a corrupt cop? That's not all of them, of course. Some great cops. But just saying. All right. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Doggone it, Randy Taylor. That's my story. How you doing, sir? Come on board. How you today?
I'm good.
We were texting. I was worried today because we were texting. What time was that? We were communicating. What time was that?
I don't know, around 4:30. Yeah, about 4:30.
Yeah, I guess it was. You sent me a text, and I'll tell you what, I popped right back. What didn't I? I was right.
Yeah. You were wide awake a couple nights this week in the middle of the night too. I sent you a text and you answered, and I was like, man, he ain't sleeping either.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of times, somebody said, boy, I'll tell you what, you got, made a comment, you got PTSD. Taylor and I both have got PTSD, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've never said that out loud. I don't use it as an excuse.
No, you know what?
Everybody's got
deal with it. Yeah, deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Compartmentalize. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So. But what's on your mind? Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind.
You pretty well covered it there. So,
all right. Which part?
All of it. All of it. The missing children. People don't really think about that enough. I was just glancing at the numbers, and like you had mentioned, these are low estimates because this is the best they can do. But all I did was put in how many people do they estimate were trafficked during Biden's open borders administration. Right. Total border crossings during the Biden administration, roughly 475,000 to 540,000 unaccompanied alien children crossed the U.S. southern border. Stop and think about that. Just think about how many that is. And nearly 300,000 to 323,000 unaccompanied migrant children were absolutely unaccounted for.
No, okay. What was that number again, and where did that come from?
Which one?
So the number of unaccounted for children. Give me the number. Tell me where it came from and what
Department of Homeland Security General Report.
Okay, so what time period does this cover?
This is during the Biden administration.
How many?
4 years of Biden.
All right. So
Think
how
about that. Unaccompanied that went missing.
Yeah, missing. Yes.
That there's not a track of.
Correct.
300,000 to 323,000.
That is extremely, extremely low. Yep. You could double that at least. Yeah.
But that's just to put it in perspective.
Now.
That's a lot of missing children. By the way, I talked to Craig Sawyer. Good. He said he'll be coming out our way pretty soon.
Good. We're all going to talk about some things. So Craig is Craig has done a lot. I got to tell you, he's
I told him I told him I wanted to go on an op with him, even though I'm in a wheelchair, and he seemed to think that there would be room for me somewhere.
Oh, he'd make room. Yeah. He's that kind of, and the ops that they run are pretty.
He's a good man. He's a good man, and I'll tell the radio, he checks on me regularly. He does. I'll say that for him too. He, as a Christian brother, checks just to see how I'm doing. So he's a good man.
God bless that man, and God bless that organization.
And while we have the audience here, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for supporting Doug's organization here, his platform. It means a lot. Okay, I wouldn't be able to pop on here and visit with you if he didn't have this platform.
That's true. I wouldn't be popping up here either.
So you wouldn't be able to see the guests that you're seeing. And sorry about Steve Quell not being here tonight, and you're stuck with me, but we'll push our way through this.
Well, I made the announcement Tuesday, Wednesday, and folks, just keep Steve in your prayers. Look, he's going through that respiratory stuff that he gets once a year or whatever. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
happens to all of us something.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, man, he called me on Tuesday, and God love the guy. He's like, Doug. And it's like, Steve, you all right? I'm fine. No, I'm not I'm not laughing or making fun of Steve in a bad way. I love the guy as a brother. But I said, Steve, man, get some rest. You got no business. First of all, you got no business calling me. Second of all, you got no, in terms of you can barely talk. So I said, no, let's just take it easy. He said, yeah. So, but I'm glad to have RT here, because RT and I, we went through a lot of stuff.
And what you're saying too, as the Muslim population grows in the country, you're going to notice too that those numbers of missing children and trafficked children are going to grow, because that's part of their culture. It's part of their culture. Okay. And one night I'm going to play all the little videos that I've been grabbing. They're small little videos of underage children being abused by Muslims. I'm putting together a compilation of them, because one night we're going to sit down and watch them, because I think people really need to grasp that. These are just really disgusting when they encourage and they're okay with, a guy, a 50-year-old man or 60-year-old man marrying an 8-year-old girl. That's seriously sick. But their religion condones it. Their political system, disguised and poised as a religion, condones it. But we've got.
Wait a second. Repeat that last sentence, if you don't mind. What you said there.
What? That their religion condones it.
Okay.
Their political system.
Yeah. Okay. So their religion condones it. Again, Islam is not a religion. Islam has a religion or a cult of belief.
Well, it's got a guise as a religion, which it hides behind.
Okay.
That's how it manages to get as far as it does.
Yeah. I just want to say this, or ask you this.
In Western society.
Okay. Yes. Now, there was a video that came out, and many people might know IQ L. Razuli, a frequent guest with me back in 10, 11, 12, and into the teens, okay? Expert on Islam. It's my understanding he's still going strong, okay? I just have to find him. And one of the reasons I got to find him, well, he moves around because, they're after him. Kind of like Salman Rushdie on steroids. But here's the thing. I saw a video, and how many people really understand this? And should we play a little bit of this, where the origins of Islam are demonic. Everything you hear about Muhammad came from Baal, or if you really want to be cool, Baal. Should we play any part of that video? Chat, I'm looking at you. Chatmeisters, what do you think? Or is it unnecessary? Just asking. And RT, so okay, I didn't mean to interrupt your thought, but while I watch this here, one said yes, two says yes, three says third, go for it, play it. All right, did I grab it? Let me see if I grabbed it. Don't care. Wait a minute. Oh, that's not me. Okay, so hang on a second. All right, so a lot of people. RT, what do you think? Do you think a lot of people give Islam a pass?
Yeah, we have way too many apologists. What you're saying about Glenn Beck, this is the same thing. This is the same problem that we had when we were at war in Iraq and Afghanistan, with the Muslim apologists in our government about Muslims are peaceful people.
Okay.
You know, constantly making excuses for this trash. Islam is Islam is Islam is Islam. That's the end of it.
Exactly.
Period.
Now, yeah, people argue over Shia or the Shiite and Sunnis. Okay, stop it.
Yeah, you got Shia, you got Sunni, you got Wahhabist in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got your different sects of Islam, but at the end of the day, they're all Islam, and it's all this, it's vile.
Exactly. Now, because, look, I have a Christian, and I know Randy Taylor does too, we have a Christian worldview of, well, a Christian view of the world. We believe in the Holy Bible.
As we should.
That's right. We believe in God, the Father Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth, his Son, Jesus Christ. We believe in the historical literacy, or the literal meaning of the Bible, right? We do. Yes, God did create the world. He created Adam and Eve. Yes, he did all of this. This is what I believe. This is my worldview. So everything you're hearing is my worldview. It's kind of funny because, not funny, but interesting, because I was talking with a gentleman today who's a professional guy, and it was about an insurance issue that he had. And then we were commiserating just briefly. It was a kind of a passing conversation. We know each other. And I said, Bob, you got to tell me, where did everything go wrong here that we're talking about? Where did everything go wrong? What was this? When did it start?
We're talking about when did Islam start?
No. This is a conversation I had with a gentleman today, a professional, that it was a passing conversation. It was about an insurance matter that neither one of us were really a part of, but we were kind of musing about how problematic things were. And my question to him in general was, where did all the bad? I mean, when did this start?
Question.
And he looked at me, and this is the greatest answer. He said, Doug, it started in the garden. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow.
Yep.
He's right. All right. So, Eric the Tech, video B started 27 seconds in. Folks, this is important, okay? Yes, it's important.
Started with a bite of that fruit.
That's right. So we'll go, about a minute and a half, roughly, because you'll get the idea. I know this is broken into sections. I think I have to double check this. And then, of course, if you want to watch the entire thing, you can go to hagmannpi.com, pick up the link, and bada bing, bada bang, you'll have it. So here is video B.
Having me, brother? If we go just with the Islamic sources, Allah of Islam is none other than Baal. If you know your Bible and you know your Old Testament history, the chief competitor for the devotion of the true God, causing the people of God to abandon their pure worship of the true God, was Baal worship, was Baal. Now, that said, brother, I'm going to now demonstrate to you that Baal or Baal is simply Satan under disguise. So the worship of Baal is none other than the worship of Lucifer, of Satan, even though people at that time, and even today, like Muslims, do not know they're worshiping Satan, because this is Satan under disguise, masquerading himself, charading himself. Now, here's what's even more interesting, if you guys don't know this. If you actually carefully examine all the pagan religions, you'll find that all the pagan gods and goddesses are mutations of the same gods and goddesses. And their stories were changed slightly, but it's the same gods and goddesses. For example, Baal to the Greeks is Zeus. And Zeus in Latin is Jupiter. The Romans worship Zeus as Jupiter. And Zeus is Baal. And he too has a consort. And so on and so forth it goes. And what's the point? The point is that Islam is nothing more than the reemergence of the worship of Baal under another disguise, another mutation of Baal worship, Satan erecting a different form of Baal worship in order to deceive people into worshiping Allah, who's none other than Baal, as the God of the Bible. So the same Baal, who was a thorn in the side of God's people, enticing them away from the worship of the true God in order to worship him along with God or as God, is now reemerged as Islam. That's my conviction. That's what I believe. And I believe Islamic
we
sources will
can
confirm.
stop there,
Now,
but don't put that video away yet, Eric the Tech. You can cue that up to, and then we'll. But before you can cue that up to, let me see here. Hang on, just 1 second. I'll get you ready for this. So while I'm doing that, RT, that's pretty clear, right? And folks in the chat, I mean, it's pretty doggone clear, right? I mean, I don't think.
Yeah, I would say that there's definitely an origin in evil.
So, as a Christian man, I believe that to be the case, because the story with Islam is, Muhammad fell asleep and was visited by, well, he believed it was a demon. Other people, his wife in particular, as wives often do, said, no, it was an angel. It was an angel, It was Angel Gabriel. And the rest, as they say, is history. All right, so there's that. Let's see here. Okay, so you can cue that video up to 1644, because what we talked about initially, what we are fighting, there is a component that a lot of people don't know about, and it does violate state and federal law and all standards of morality and decency, but involves this very, very religion, or very, very, it involves Islam. And again, the excuse for not moving forward many times is because it's covered under, religious exemption and religious freedom. But this is a tad different. From the same video, and the link will be in the program description box again so you can watch the whole thing. This starts at 1644. Did I say that? Eric, that takes 16. Wait a minute. Let me just say here. 16. And surprise us all. 1644. This is key.
we're going to go to the final section, which will be the knockout. Remember, these are Muslim sources. They wanted to disassociate Allah from Hubble. Hubble is Baal, and Hubble required human sacrifice. Sound familiar? Human sacrifice. Now, Abdul Muttalib is Muhammad's grandfather. Let me just give you a quick summary, and we're going to read the sources. Abdul Muttalib made an oath, supposedly to Allah. He said to Allah, if you give me 10 sons, and they live to be old enough to defend me, I will sacrifice one of my sons to you. First question to ask, who is this Allah that would give a man 10 sons in order to sacrifice one of his sons to him? Because remember what Muslims are telling us. Muslims are telling us Allah of the pagans was actually the God of Abraham. Now, in the sources that I'm about to read, Abdul Muttalib had 10 sons, and only 10 sons. That means Allah answered his prayer. Now, can I ask you a question? Why would Allah answer this man's prayer to give him 10 sons, to kill one of them if he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Can you explain that to me? Why would Allah, if he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, honor his request? Because that's what he said. I'm going to read it to you. If you give me 10 sons, I will kill one of them as a sacrifice to appease you, to honor you. Why not just give him 9 sons and stop? Why give him 10 in order for him to now feel obligated to murder one of his sons to appease Allah? This in no way is the God of the Bible. Sorry, Muslims. This is in your tradition, proving that Allah is Satan, that Islam is Luciferian worship. Even though Muslims don't know this, may God save them. Now let's go to the citations.
Okay, you can stop right there. Folks, you can read all that, okay, or you can watch that. But you get the idea, right?
It was knocking them out. Yeah.
Okay. And these citations are numerous. The examples are numerous. And folks, do not conflate that with, Abraham and that whole story from the Bible. Do not conflate the two. And this video will help everyone understand, but the link will be in the program description box. But RT, so there is this Islamic issue, and out of the invaders that came into this country, I have to say that a vast majority of the paramilitary-aged men adhere to or could be described as Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second, tied for first. The numbers are a little bit squirrely, but definitely communist revolutionaries. Okay.
Mm.
And then a number that has not gotten enough attention are fertile females and or females who were with child upon entering. And then number 4, the unaccompanied minors. Yeah, there you go. And all the numbers are off. You will not find a number that matches another number in whatever source you look.
I think they're all speculative.
I think they are too. So then you have the NGOs pushing all of this, funding all of this, the infrastructure for this. Then, of course, let's spend a moment. I'm going to toss this to you. We cannot talk about trafficking. We cannot talk about what's going on, what we're doing, without talking about Epstein. I know people are interested in the Epstein files. What's your take? At this moment in time, Randy Taylor, what is your take on why we haven't seen diddly squat about any accountability of the Epstein perverts? Why?
You mean as far as being disclosed?
Disclosed,
I'm going to
prosecuted, whatever.
I'm going to say because of the names, the actual names on the list, the actual names that haven't been disclosed. They're going to be very powerful people, extremely powerful people.
No,
this is a toy to the elitist and to the globalist, the children. This is right. their money. This is what they do for fun. They've achieved everything else. So this is what we'll do. Between doing this to children and trafficking children and trading children, down to, and I know it happens because I've heard accounts of it, hunting and killing human beings.
Right.
In general.
Right.
These are people that think that they're entitled to do this. And it's definitely Luciferian in concept, all of it.
Is Epstein an Islamic name, though? No, it's not. It's actually, it has Jewish connotations, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So,
isn't that interesting?
Yes. Now, Islam and the Jewish, Judaism, adherence to true Judaism, you have to make a distinction there. not the followers of the Talmud, but the lineage from through the Bible. And this is not the time. Whereas Islam is cut and dry. I mean, pretty clear. Judaism, you have to focus in. You have to use the Bible and such. This is not the platform at this moment to really get into that. Let's just say, though, however, you do have a part of that ideology, the Judaism, a segment, as you do Christians and others who believe it's okay to molest, marry, rape children. I'm just saying. Okay, but those aren't the Jews of the Bible. Those aren't the Old Testament believing Jews. Those are Talmudic or even convenient Jews. Jews by name only. So let's stipulate there if that is okay, because I know that's going to come up. Whereas the difference between that and Islam is the fact that you've got 100% over there adherent to a doctrine that has been promoted that is so much different than this doctrine that's been perverted. Promoted over here, perverted over here. Equally bad in terms of outcome. So, if we can stipulate to that, we can move on. Okay? Okay, good. Mr. Wright, is Epstein dead? Our team? And Chet, is Epstein dead?
I don't think so, no.
So what role at this moment in time have we as anyone with the vim and vigor and intensity of a YouTube influencer / true crime podcaster with that intensity on Nancy Guthrie case, has anyone been really digging into the Epstein files? There have been some, but have they been on this Epstein thing, or has that kind of gone by the wayside? What do you think?
It seems like it's going away. It seems like it's dwindling. Yeah, it's lost its popularity.
It has, hasn't it?
Right, because it's not bringing the clicks that it used to.
Why? So, see, that's what I kind of want to know. Why? And here's my theory on this. It's the erosion of trust in the institutions that have been rotted from the inside that causes this, and this is my theory, that causes this feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, and quite frankly, disinterest, because, hey, we can't do, what are we going to do? Nothing ever happens. So
I think that's exactly what it is.
Right.
It is. People are. It's the system has failed us.
It has.
The government has failed us. The justice system has failed us. The Department of Justice is a department of jokes. I mean, there's nothing. Look at all the cases that we know that there's enough evidence to move forward with. Yet nobody's been brought into custody. Nothing's going on. I saw a tweet, or whatever you call it now, a post from the House GOP.
Yep.
It was a one-liner that said, "We will not allow communism." That's it.
Okay.
And I'm sitting here, and I went down and I started reading the responses, and every response was justified. What are you going to do about it? What have you done about anything? They do nothing about anything. They talk about it. It's like everybody's turned into Trey Gowdy, blah, 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 blah,
right.
And put on a great show and then walked away from the fight. And this is what I'm sick and tired. And that's why I say every one of those son of a bitches in the legislative houses need to be dragged out of the houses and said, look, you can go home, or I'm going to introduce you to the landscape, because they have failed us. And we need to get we need to pull them out, and we need elections across the board. Elections of Americans, qualified Americans, to sit in those seats. And I don't know how the hell we would ever accomplish that, but that's what needs to happen. The houses need cleaned out. They are not reflective, Doug, of the United States.
No.
And what we stand for. And quite frankly, I think that people are really getting sick and tired of it. It's got to come to a head here soon, man.
Which I referenced this last night.
It has to come to a head, buddy.
Yeah, indeed it does. So you're 100% right.
It is so discouraging, Doug, to sit here and watch our republic crumble. And I can't face that discouragement. I can't deal with it. I'm losing my mind over this.
Well, and folks, let me tell you something.
I'm losing my mind.
The actual time for those interested was 3:43 this morning, and that began the string of texts, which ended about communications which ended about 4:45.
And what do you think I was thinking about?
And there it is, and that's why I brought that up. So we are, and these are the things that we're working on, because if we don't start implementing solutions soon, we're screwed.
Yeah, and I'm not going to die in place like this. That's not happening. I got it. Yeah, I got a daughter that deserves a better world than this.
Well, and I think look, I have family, grandkids. See, here's the thing: we have to think bigger than we think. It's
I am one man, and I'm sitting here trying to think on national scale. I already got to international. I'm worried about the United States of America. The rest of it can be dealt with, the international aspect. Right now, I'm worried about this country, this republic.
Yes.
As it crumbles right before our eyes, and nobody's doing a freaking thing about it.
Well, okay.
And so I'm done. Now it's time.
No, you're exactly right. And this is, I 100% behind you on this.
I'm done.
Because I had a saying, if it's going to be, or if it is to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me. I used to have that on my desk on a plaque.
Yeah. And everyone's familiar with that. If you've ever been in sales of any kind,
no,
or ever went to a motivational speech at the Holiday Inn, you know. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway,
but salesmen built this country, man.
Oh yeah. Salesmen, factory workers, and farmers.
Yep.
And okay, so here's the thing that I was thinking about too, to kind of tie this together, RT. In addition to what you sent, this is cut A, I believe it is. Yeah. So last year, or within the last year, you remember Nick Shirley. Everyone remembers Nick Shirley going out to Minnesota, Minneapolis, the Leering Center, of course, exposing the Somalian people, right? And then what happened, that kind of, people took that and it went up to Walls and Ellison. And I mean, it went from the police chief, what was it, O'Hara, whose wife, who was a Muslim, a white Muslim who's married to a black female Muslim police officer in New Jersey. That's Minneapolis, that is. And then it goes up to Ellison, and then Peggy Flanagan, the lieutenant governor, and then Tim Walz. Now, here's what Shirley disclosed to the masses. You have this massive fraud. You have this overlap. If you follow his work close, or his exposures close, he shows you the overlap between the perverse ideology of, the rainbow-colored beliefs and the hijacking of the rainbow, as well as the melding of that in the Muslim plan for America. And nowhere was this better, RT, better shown than in Nick Shirley's work. Whether he intended it that way or not, I don't know. But let's give this a watch. This is cut. It'll be cut in the program, show program, or show notes. It'll be video. Let's see. We'll make it video A. All right. So now this is from a larger video. I believe it was from. Well, this was published on Nick Shirley's channel. That's a year ago. It's a year ago.
Still holds true today.
And it's worse.
Yeah.
You know why it's worse? Because it still exists.
Yeah. And it's grown.
Yeah.
Minneapolis is a toilet, man. I don't know how anyone can live and function there properly. It's completely off the charts. I was doing a lot of research into Minneapolis and the Somali communities last night because I was looking up the individual Somali communities. I'm ready to go and visit them. I want to stop. I want to stop and say hi to Keith Ellison.
Yeah. I'm sure.
I'm going to say
facial recognition.
I'm going to say this right on the air. I hate that son of a bitch.
As well, you should. I mean, look, he
has corrupted. He is vile. He is corrupt. He has been bought and paid for by the Somalis. They've got video of this guy accepting pay to not prosecute.
No, they have audio. I don't know if they have video, but I do know they have audio.
Excuse me, audio. Yes,
right.
Audio. Did I say video? No, it's audio.
Yeah,
but
audio.
I was just stop and think about that. And we know that the problem was there. It's just little things like that. And I'll tell you right now, if you grab some of these Somalis, if the FBI grabbed them and really started squeezing them, they would sing the song. And they would have enough to put Ellison behind bars. And I believe they already have enough to put Ellison behind bars. They just haven't done it. Like everything else that's going on in Washington, D.C., we are not getting action. And I'm sick and tired of this crap. Because if you take the concept away from the people of justice and liberty for all, equal treatment, and that equal treatment under the law. You take that away from people, what do we have left? Nothing. All we have left is we, the people.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to fall on, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to start thinking like your forefathers. Think like, if you don't take shit home from this show tonight, from me, I want you to think like the forefathers of this country. Change your way of thinking.
Do you know, this question was asked, I don't know if it was Brandon Gill who asked this question to the the head of the Smithsonian during the recent hearings, but I'll just ask this. Do you know what the most popular book in America it was during the founders and the revolution?
The Bible.
How about...
I think it was up through the 50s, Doug.
Well, yes, and it still is.
I recall, yeah, okay, but I mean, it was outstandingly the most popular book. You know, before Time Magazine probably wanted to name something else in its place. And more that I'm just a media. I'm done with all of them.
All right. Well, how about this? What was the second?
Our job that we have in front of us is monumental, people.
Oh yeah. But let me ask you, what do you think during the American Revolution, the Bible first, okay, but the American Revolution, what was the second most popular series of books or pamphlets or other reading material? What was the second most popular?
Probably something by Benjamin Franklin.
Close. Thomas Paine.
Okay, I'll go with that. Yeah.
Thomas Paine. Not just Common Sense, but all of his, or many of his writings. Now, Thomas Paine kind of went off the rails later, but that's another story.
During the Revolutionary period, he was very inspirational to people.
Yeah, he was. So getting back to what we're concerned with, when you overlay everything, the fraud, the invasion, the attacks, the Islam. So one more thing, because Nick Shirley did a great job on this. Go ahead, let's go to cut A. And this is their plan. They're not hiding this anymore. This will segue into what you sent.
Okay.
And this also pretty much confirms our investigative and surveillance findings that we've been doing over the last 20 years. Go ahead.
Yeah, and a lot of this, folks, that we put on here, you may have seen it, but we don't know what all you see and what you don't see. We're not. I don't know if everybody here subscribes to X, or doesn't, or subscribes to Facebook or doesn't. And Doug knows that. I mean, we're all, we don't know. So that's why we present it to you. And you're going to see stuff tonight that maybe you've seen before, but you know what? You need to watch it anyway.
And if you did see it, great. If you didn't see it, well, you're even better for it.
Far out, we're going to give you the refresher course. Okay? This is important stuff. We are losing our republic, and this is why.
There you go. Fire away.
We're going to get radical, hardened, militant Islamists to come into America.
Islam is the #1 growing religion here in the United States. Why do you think that is so? Do you think Islam will eventually overtake Christianity here in the United States?
Worldwide, not just the United States.
I think Islam hates us.
The rise of Islam is real here in the United States. It's the fastest growing religion across America, and it's nearly doubled in size over the past 2 decades, and with Muslim women averaging 3.1 children compared to 1.6 for the American average, Muslims aren't just outpacing the nation in birth rates, they're also out-converting Christians. Nearly a quarter of all U.S. Muslims are converts, and most of them used to be Christians. While Christian churches are losing members, mosques are gaining members, and they're keeping them. And today I'm here in Minnesota, home to one of the largest Muslim populations in all of America, to witness the rise firsthand. I'll be speaking with Muslims, Christian Americans, all Americans, entering in the mosque, asking the questions you guys want answered, from 9/11 to Sharia law, everything in between. There are no questions that are off the table for this video. And if you're a Christian who believes in Western values, this video might be a wake-up call to you to reignite your faith and spread the good word. And if you're a Muslim, this video might excite you for the future of Islam here in the United States. I want to apologize to anybody a part of Islam beforehand. If I do not use the correct verbiage or phrasing, I apologize. I'm not too familiar with the religion. So today we're going to be learning more, speaking with people, and seeing the rise of Islam here in the United States. And now, let's hit the streets and see what's happening. And to see the rise of Islam firsthand, we head to Cedar Riverside in Minneapolis to see how much the Islam community has grown inside of this community inside of America. What's it mean to you to be a part of Islam here in the United States?
Well, I think Islam is a religion for the humanity, for everyone. Islam in America growing, it's not something to do with us, it's something to do with God. And it's God's decision,
What's it like being a part of Islam here in the United States?
The Islam here is growing. So I hope the Islam will grow here in America.
And why do you think so many people are converting to Islam here? It's the #1 growing religion here in the United States.
Well, it's not only the growing, it's the fastest growing religion in the world. And no one can stop it. It looks like it is the best and the final religion to humanity. So if you don't accept it, that's up to you.
Islam is the #1 growing religion here in the United States. Yeah. Why do you think that is so?
Because of the great influx, #1, of the immigrants that we had. Secondly, some people start to see that the Islamic people in general really hold some good, true value. You know what I'm saying? Their values are really tight.
Right.
With how
pause that for a second. Drop that down and bring RT up, because he just gave the one finger salute to that guy.
Yeah.
Off camera, in the green room.
Yeah, I can't believe it. You see, they present this flowers and puppy dog version.
Yeah.
And this is how they lure the people in. This is what they did in Africa when they were going in and taking over the villages. They would feed the people. They would feed them, and the people would started subscribing to Islam.
Yeah.
And now in Africa, what are they doing? They're murdering the Christians, the ones that resisted and didn't sign up. They're dying in droves. They're being murdered. I see videos every day of Christians being slaughtered.
Yeah.
This Islamic component, yes, yeah. Is it the fastest growing religion in the world? Yes. Great. Like cancer.
Well, when you say, okay, and again, we're not going to keep couching or keep stipulating this. We recognize Islam is not a religion. However, when we discuss it here in this format, to avoid having to
attack it at that level, because that's what people understand.
Right, exactly. Thank you. You said it better in
because people when we throw political system at them, a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around that. So let's go after one part of that political system, the religious aspect. So
right.
We're going to attack that. Okay, because why? We have something to compare it to, because we don't have a political system for Protestants. So it's kind of hard to do an apples to apples with folks. You understand what I'm saying?
Very hard.
We have to come at it and lower ourselves to what Islam really is to have a discussion about it.
That's right. Okay. Now,
vile, disgusting.
Go ahead and continue with that. And ET or Eric the Tech ET, I'll prompt you with if you folks hang on, because we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. I'll prompt you to the later time in this, because this is about a 30-minute.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm glad you did.
Doug caught me flipping it off quietly in the background.
I love it, man. I mean, it's appropriate, and
man,
if we don't start taking this seriously,
like that guy that was talking, that bearded guy, you just want to shake him. Say, man, read your history books.
Well,
there's another aspect, Doug. They're removing history.
Yeah,
history's getting hard to find about Islam.
Yeah, and so that whole process of taking down statues, there are certain parts of Islam and communism where there is this synergistic effect. That's one of them. Erasing history, changing history.
Afghanistan.
100%.
Perfect example of when we really got the first glimpse into Islam trying to eradicate your history and the history of another people. The way to just Afghanistan, they demolished everything that was there that had to do with any other religion.
Yeah.
It wasn't allowed to exist. It will not coexist. That's what people need to understand. Just because it's peaceful today, it will not be peaceful tomorrow.
That peaceful, supposed peacefulness is not real. Okay,
no,
it is a part of the deception.
It's a lie.
There it is.
It's taqiyya. It's a lie, and they're permitted to lie, to deceive the unbeliever. It says it right in the Quran. Now, what kind of book that's supposed to be a religious book would give that kind of instruction?
There you go. All right.
There, we took another chunk out of it.
All right. So, and I would bet that there are certain people listening to this and watching this broadcast right now who have family members who have either married into or converted into Islam.
I feel sorry for them.
Well, you know what? It's a matter of fact.
Yep. And just like the proof will be in the pudding. You will only learn the hard way.
And you know what? Let me toss this question out, although premature, but nonetheless something to think about. Before, when we talked about the end of days, and the Antichrist and the biblical wrap up of the tribulation and etc., I got a question now. I just wonder about this. I never thought, because of the lack of popularity, I never thought the Antichrist could be Muslim. The person of the Antichrist. If that's okay, so
there's nothing that says it's not.
No, but you know what? I'm beginning to think.
I'm starting to wonder. That's a good, interesting point, Doug.
Now,
most people don't think about that.
Okay, right, and Look,
the only thing that leans towards that is that when they say that I believe the Antichrist comes from the Middle East.
you know what? I don't even want to get into that discussion.
We can start a whole new thing. Let's stick to Islam sucks. All right, we're doing good here.
Okay, so let's continue that a little bit, because don't forget, Nick Shirley is there because of the Somali invasion into the U.S., specifically the resettlement. Think about this, into Minneapolis, the Twin Cities. You got a flipping chief of police who's a Muslim. You've got these Muslim apologists all throughout the council, the city council, then the county, by the way, and then with all throughout the state, and then you have this communist governor, communist CCP attached Governor Walz, who was almost the second person in the White House. When I say almost, I guess he was on a candidate on the ticket right next to Harris, or the Kathleen Harris. So you've got, and obviously you have all these problems, but I mean, the problems stem from, well, I'll shut up. But you can see that this overlap, because I start there. All right, so go ahead and play it a little bit more now. I'll prompt you to do a later one, and then we'll kind of hit the other stuff. Go ahead.
And how they see things that way, which is a very good, strong thing. You know?
While we were inside of Cedar Riverside, we actually met a lady who had left the Islam faith. So are you Muslim woman or no?
I'm not. My parent was Muslim.
How come you left Islam?
Because they control me. They control my clothes, and it's not good.
Do you think women are suppressed?
Yes, of course, they breast. It's not. They don't want it, but we female, they're afraid to get killed. So that's why they wear hijab. They wear big clothes. But me, I don't want clothes. I don't want to wear. But this need to be stopped. People, they have to wear whatever they want.
So
President Trump, you have to tell President Trump. You have to tell me a message. Females, they have this United States, they have freedom. They can wear whatever they wanted, but Islamic, they press females to wear these hijabs.
So if you're a woman in Afghanistan and you don't wear the hijab,
they kill you. They don't want you if you don't wear hijab. Even me, I wear this because they don't want me to wear a pant. Yeah.
Really?
I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm afraid. That's why I wear this. So it's not the way you think.
The hijab is a headscarf worn by many Muslim women as a sign of modesty and faith, and in some Muslim countries or underneath certain leadership, it is required, while in others, it is not. What are some large misconceptions about Islam here in the United States?
That Muslim women are suppressed.
And what makes you choose to wear the hijab?
My religion, I started wearing the hijab when I was 16 years old.
And what would happen if you didn't wear the hijab?
Nothing would happen. It's your choice.
And why do you think Islam is the largest growing religion here in the United States right now?
Because of our Quran. Our Quran, our book never changes. It's one book, one language, one religion. There's Islam in all over the world.
I've had enough of this part. You can pause that and do one more thing.
She boldface lied there. Okay, if she doesn't wear the hijab, trust me, something will happen to her. You can bank on it. Okay, we have honor killings that occur. People don't realize this. Honor killings that occur because some little high school girl wants to be like her friends, wears the hijab at home, but as soon as she's out of sight of her home, takes the hijab off. Okay, and then what happens is her brother finds out, and he tells the father and the brother murder her. It's called an honor killing, and it happens more than you know.
That's right.
That's a fact. Look that up. Look it up. It's a fact. She has no choice but to wear that headgear. If she doesn't, it's her ass.
And that's something that we found collectively, both Randy Taylor and myself, which we will mention, but we're not going to get too deep into, in the Somali community specifically, and as well as other enclaves, even epic city style conclaves, if you will.
And I want people to understand. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to finish this thought. You will not find any accurate reporting of murder, domestic abuse calls by police and or murder stats. This blows my mind. But Taylor and myself, we have scoured the DOJ systems, both open source as well as proprietary. Don't forget, we both received the bulletins from DHS, the DOJ, the updates, the briefings, whether they were so. And we had access to this information, but none of the information contained any correct information about what's going on. Now, that's why. Have you heard about the police cars in New York City, colored the same way as NYPD? And they're called Sharia police, right? Community police, but they're Sharia police. It's happening in New York City right now. It was happening 15 years ago. Why? Folks, why do you think they have their own police force enforcing Sharia law? Tell you why. Yeah, oh yeah, it's to make sure there's compliance with Sharia law, but there's also another part that no one talks about, and that is making sure that certain stats never see the light of day.
And to be clear, in the Quran, it tells them specifically to cover their bosoms and their chest. Doesn't say anything about their head.
Yep.
That is a cultural thing, but they try and push it under that. Remember we said that little religious clause?
Yep. That's
one of the things they hide behind. That's part of their religion. It is not part of the religion. The verses in the Quran, Surah An-Nur 24:31 and Surah Al-Zab 33:59. And it's plain as day. However, you're going to start seeing digital manipulations of those verses. Okay? That's what's occurring now online. Okay, and they're saying that, that's what it says in the Quran. No, it's not what it says in the Quran. Not at all what it says in the Quran. And for them to say that is a bold-faced lie. They have, you know what, in Saudi, you get the ones that say, I'm not taking off my burqa to take my driver's license photo. Really? In Saudi Arabia, you have to. In Jordan, you have to. In Syria, you have to. There's no Middle Eastern country that lets these females take their picture for ID purposes, if they're allowed an ID. There's no country that allows them for ID purposes to wear a burqa and cover their face.
And think about this. Think about the facial recognition stuff that's going on right now, RT. And think about, they'll get a pass, but you and I, All right. Advance that to 1140.
This is just more. We're just exposing the lies, the anomalies and the lies here. That's all we're doing right now. They're bold-faced lies.
Yes, and then we're going to show you where we've been. See, because we've been inside these Islamic centers, mosques, from the time that they were just framed buildings without any kind of, when they were being built, to the time when they were purchased, to the time when, at various times throughout their construction, their use, and through very recent. So, and what we found in every one of these places, you just wait. But here's 1140. Eric, go ahead and hit that. This is an interesting take because that will lead into our findings. Go ahead.
We went to a town named St. Cloud that's seen a dramatic shift in their demographic and as well as religion in the area. Inside of this town, St. Cloud, this is one of the many Islamic centers here. This is a mosque here, but something that's super interesting about this mosque right here, it actually used to be a Lutheran church. You can see right here on the backdrop of this wall right here, this used to be a Lutheran church. So that just shows how much of the population has shifted from Christian to Muslim as far as the people in the population here inside of this town, as this used to be a Lutheran church. Now it's an Islamic mosque. So right here's the St. Cloud University, and we were just at that mosque right there, and then if you go another block over, there's another mosque. And then what's interesting is right next to this mosque right here, there's a Presbyterian church. So you have two churches right next to each other, one worshiping Allah and the other worshiping God. Depending on who you talk to as far as Allah and God, they're referred as the same person. However, the Islamics use the word Allah to refer to God. How would you say the Islamic community is here?
It's pretty deep in it. It's a lot of people, right? It's pretty big. They all they're pretty, like, they come together, right?
Would you say there's more Muslims than there are Christians here in this area?
I would say so. I would think so. Yeah, I would say so. Yes, sir.
And how do you feel about the rise of Islam here in the United States?
I don't really know too much personally. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I don't know too much about Islam. I'm all for what anybody wants to be with that.
You can cut that. So the important part of this is what he just said. Randy Taylor and myself, we can verify this. Go ahead. What?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me?
You're bouncing. You're wonky.
Who, me?
All right. I'm going to step out.
Go ahead and reconnect. Am I okay, Eric the Tech? All right. That's what I thought. Doggone right, I'm good. So, Randy Taylor and myself, beginning about 2001, I don't know why that happened, but 2001, we started infiltrating various mosques, Islamic centers. You know the story behind that, folks. I'm not going to repeat that. We had an online presence, and then we had a physical presence, an online and physical investigative side of things. And it was at that time, and you will not see this appear anywhere in DOJ files, but we were both operational assets for the Department of Justice and the FBI back when the FBI had some little bit of interest in taking care of business. But then, obviously, it didn't. And then that's when we left. And people will say, what the hell's an operational asset? Because there are some, without getting too far into the weeds, there is some off-the-books work. Okay, that's all. Off-the-books work. So if you ask maybe a retired agent today, they say, well, we never heard of that. No, you weren't supposed to. Every one of these mosques that you see today have either taken over they've taken over another church. Told you last night about St. Anne's, didn't we? We talked about that. St. Anne's in Buffalo, New York. If you haven't seen that little bit of news, go ahead and check it out. St. Anne's, of course, a very historic church. Beautiful, just gorgeous. It was subject to arson. I think they said twice, but it's been about 5 times in the last I'll say in the last 12 months. And it's now going to be under the control of the Islamic Center in Buffalo, St. Anne's Church. So if they can't buy it from you, they will push you out. And if they can't push you out, they will burn you out. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. How do they do that? Well, there are various financial and militaristic arms to Islam in the U.S. I should add this before I move on from the mosques and Islamic centers. Nearly every one of the Islamic centers, and I can hear you too. That's a good thing. I think I was just telling everyone, just very quickly, our relationship with the federal investigative authorities as operational assets, which really doesn't exist because it's not supposed to exist, but yes, yet here we are. Just saying, right? I mean,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, okay. So,
yeah.
It's kind of like Laos. We were never in Laos, right? Yeah, okay. In pretty much all of these established, the larger Islamic centers, you have paramilitary training disguised as physical exercise. You've got weapons training disguised as sports activities. You've got a whole slew of. And you talk about what are some of the militias, right? You talk about militias, right? Okay, no, these are militaristic. I'm going to tell you what, these would put any militia to shame.
Yeah, that's a different animal,
right? So everyone, and in a few of these, they either have control over or have an armory on premise. Armory, that's correct. Pretty bold claims there, Doug. Yeah.
No, that's true. And then you wonder, why the hell would the government sell them an armory?
Yeah. I kind of wondered that myself. And you get in trouble for asking questions.
Unbelievable.
All right.
Seen it.
Yeah, seen it. And been prevented from showing it.
Yeah.
And not just by the Islamic centers, but by the FBI.
Yeah.
Right. And Department of Justice. Okay, so here's Eric Tech. I just sent you this on Cuomo. I thought, man, I don't want to.
So much for the government taking care of this problem.
Which again, consistent with yesterday and consistent with the night before. Listen, please. Yeah. Last night I ended up saying, look, it's going to be up to us. We're saying that now. And also, lastly, it's going to take a turn, and it's going to get very ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll stop there. Cuomo, guy, I really don't like Cuomo, but I thought he did a decent job in this case, because this will tell you how. This will tell you how all of this is being done. The takeover. Of all people, Chris Cuomo. Of all people. What? Stop clock can be right twice a day, right? Unless you hold the arms back. All right. Go ahead and hit Cuomo, please.
Islamists are trying to destroy America. Today, a 200-page year-long report by the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy says there's a 100-year plan by a militant Islamist organization with groups in more than 70 countries known as the Muslim Brotherhood, which oddly America does not see as a terror organization. And their plan is to transform Western society from within and destroy our democracy. And they're about halfway there. How? Infiltrating college campuses. Lots of bot accounts and troll accounts that make us hate each other.
Pause that for a second. Randy Taylor, refresh my memory if you don't mind.
Yes.
What manual or what encyclopedia?
The Jihad Encyclopedia.
Yeah, you found that, and that served.
That Jihad Encyclopedia.
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded that from Islamic website back in, I'm going to say 2002.
It was 02.
It was 02. I could even think of the name of the zip file. Anyway, I downloaded it. I had it I threw it in the safe. Didn't look at it. I was busy downloading. And I kept having a dream. And in the dream, I was looking at myself, and I had something in my hand. And every time that I would try and look at it in my hand, it would turn away from me. And I kept having this dream over and over and over and over. I think I even said something to you about it, Doug. But anyway,
yeah, I think it was in the middle of the night, like last night. But go ahead.
But the thing was, I had downloaded their Encyclopedia of Jihad, and it was to give you an idea of what this was. This was governing all of their jihad activities around the world, not the little bullshit one they found over in the UK that they published. That's the Al Qaeda manual. That was like not a preface to what we had our hands on. And I contacted someone that I was working with in the JTTF, and I said, "Hey, I've got this encyclopedia I found," and I sent just a couple pages up, sent them up. Back then it was email. I sent him up, and he was like, "Man, you got to get that here now." So I overnighted it to the front in Brooklyn, and I overnighted it there. And he called me on the phone as soon as they opened it and started looking at it. He called me on the phone. He says, "You know how you find a little gold nugget?" He said, "You just gave us a gold nugget the size of a basketball." He goes, "They've been searching for this encyclopedia since we landed in Afghanistan. We found a few pages in the caves. These are all handwritten pages, 1,022 pages, I believe. And they had found some pages, and but they could never find the whole manual. And I just handed them the whole manual, which instantly was dispatched to special forces in Afghanistan. It was also, here's the best story. This new unit of the NYPD was struggling to get financing from the mayor, who was Giuliani at the time. They ran off these photocopies. They said they couldn't copy them fast enough. Got a meeting with the mayor that afternoon, and he wrote a check for $1 million to start the Intel Center. And the NYPD Intel Center.
He actually got authority to write that check that day.
Yeah, but I'm saying he released $1 million to start the NYPD Intel Center, which was crucial in the world. They are a better intel center in many ways than our own Central Intelligence Agency. And the way this intel center is set up is it's a building, and they've got NYPD, they've got FBI, they've got DIA, CIA, U.S. military, each branch. Everybody's got a desk in there, and agencies you've never even heard of are in this building. And these guys all
describe that building, because
these people all communicate in there, and it's under the guise of another company, like a regular company. You wouldn't even know it was there.
So it's the most amazing thing you'll ever see. Okay, because but by the way, Maxwell just wanted to pop in and say hello. I sorry to bother you guys, or to interrupt you guys. Hey, you want to say hello? Go ahead, say hello. You like the camera? This is Maxwell. He is filling in for Lady, the studio dog. So while she's up and down health wise. But he just comes and checks it out. He heard RT and
but a lot of those young people working in the Intel Center today really have no idea probably how I got started. I just told you.
And so, just so people understand, because this also speaks to the flock camera systems, which have turned against us. Mm-hmm. Okay, now back during that time period of that find and then turning that over, you had these clandestine building, or you had building. They're still operational, but they tend to move, okay, because they just do. You could look at a building, you could drive by it 1,000 times, look at it and say, it's just an empty warehouse, or a warehouse with nothing going on. Man, that door opens. Preach it, Randy. It's like command. It's like the command center for
it's the bridge of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
It was very well thought out, and I feel honored to have had a hand in getting them going. In fact, they came to my home. They sent some agents down to my home. because they were seeing, I was sending them stuff and it was just freaking them out. They were like, who is this guy? I was an air conditioning contractor. And they're like, well, what the hell is going on here? Well, so they had to go meet this guy, and they came down. I took them to my home. And I remember when I opened the door, they wouldn't go in the house.
You've said this before, but this is
classic.
Love this.
They wouldn't go in the house. And I'm standing at the door going, okay, guys, let's get inside, before my neighbors start asking questions. And they're like, and I said, what's the problem? They said, why is there plastic over all the furniture? And I was like, because I have a Siamese cat that likes to piss on the furniture. Guys, inside. Well, turns out they had been instrumental in shutting down the 5 mafia families in New York City. So when they saw the plastic on the furniture and they're going to a guy's house they've never met, they've only talked to on the phone, they thought that, like I said, I was going to waste them or something.
Roll them up like Doritos.
It was amazing, though. But that's what they did is they wanted to see how my office was set up. And when they went back to New York, they took pictures and everything where I had my notebooks and because I'm a very meticulous person. And they went back to New York City and they made everybody set their cubicles up exactly like my office. I guess because it worked.
And I have to say, I believe as it stands, it's still working to this day.
Yeah, they're still there. They're one of the best intelligence units in the world. I mean, they stack up against Mossad. They are good. These guys are good.
I remember getting they don't have business cards, but one did. So he handed me a business card and it was just his name. So it's just his name.
Yep.
Okay.
Amazing people, though, dedicated to the job. Now, I'm sure they've, under what's going on in New York now, I'm sure that they've lost track. They're kind of off center.
So that's where we are today,
and that bothers me.
Okay. So here is, you just got a glimpse, and if back then they would, at least my experience, you and I never went into, there's more than one, numerous centers like that, or numerous operations like that. We never
they call them fusion centers.
Well, yes, but
remember there was a big rash of those, Doug.
Right.
It was crazy, like from 2004 to 2006. Those fusion centers were going up like mad.
Well, okay, so you had
the United States,
right before the fusion centers. You had the fusion centers, and the fusion center.
Yeah.
You kind of, sort of, but then you had the buildings for the fusion centers. But here's the issue: the actual, the real, at least in my perception of things, where you were, where I was, where we were taken into and saw all of this, the nondescript buildings, the people, those were the key locations, not the fusion centers that you see built.
Oh no, those are like franchises of I don't know what. They wanted to duplicate that Intel center. People did. Right. And of course they wanted to be like that, but they could never get it off the ground in their individual cities. So the fusion centers were more advanced than police departments in some ways. More advanced than the detective division in the police department.
90%, I would say the majority, 90% don't even know they exist. The cops or even the DAs.
And remember, they were purely focused on terrorism.
Right.
And a lot of police departments weren't even capable of dealing in counterterrorism. It was difficult. I mean, we watched these struggles go all across the nation, and meanwhile, you've got a president in Condoleezza Rice saying Islam's a peaceful religion.
Yeah.
So the fight, the inner fighting, was amazing because I had a mailing list, okay, with literally thousands of people on it, okay, and I had a buddy that was ex-CIA, And he would take anything I sent out and he would distribute it to his people, which was like 30,000 people around the world. So everybody knew who Archangel was. All right.
Right.
And I'm hoping that some of them remember, because I'm fixing to start that all back up again. This has got to be part of my fight. It just has to be. They're coming for us. And I only know how to deal with them as terrorists.
So what you said, and I got to punch this in right here. When you were there, when you went there, invited there and went there, when I had the opportunity to go there, different locations, and at the time, there were two cities that had the most robust counterterrorism op centers on the planet. New York, Los Angeles. Okay, those two cities primarily. You would think DC, right? You would think.
Yeah, you'd think,
but no. Okay, now advance it 25 years later, after the smoking ruins in New York are cleaned up, and after the monument to Muhammad in Pennsylvania, Shanksville, was erected. Yes. Okay. Now what you have, and you think about what we talked about last night's program, and the night before, guess what? Guess what's being monitored in those centers, and especially in New York? Flock cameras? Us, that's right. Mm-hmm. So all of the surveillance assets in the name of counterterrorism, your security, no. And guess who in New York is really in charge or oversees, or let me just phrase it differently for accuracy, has unfettered access into every one of those centers.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I used to, other people on New Year's Eve would be partying. And on New Year's Eve, I was on a PA phone and looking at cameras all over New York City.
Yep.
And that was my job. That's what I did with them every New Year's Eve. And I remember the first one after we'd been attacked. You know, it was amazing what they already had in place, and then what they were facilitating further. And those cameras, as Doug said, have now been weaponized against us.
And there are a lot of this is operational by Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if it's LA or New York.
Because remember, our systems, our DHS and all was infiltrated by Muslims. Okay, that's one of the reasons I pulled out, is because they were starting to question me and accusing me of being a terrorist because I had such good information that, well, I had to be one of them to have this information. And that was by some Muslim shitheads that were working in DHS that were in there without security clearances.
And promoted that. Okay, so I'll just say this. They were promoted. And guess what? That man right there was probably a month away from being indicted on terrorism charges.
Yeah, I had to go. Everything. I had to go underground.
And had he continued to work on behalf of the constitutional United States of America, or the Republic, you would have been you'd still be in jail. You'd be under the jail.
You want to talk about a spit in the face, folks? That's why this whole Islamic thing, to me, I remember I said the other night, you might as well just go on down to Arlington Cemetery and spit on their graves every time we let the Muslims get another piece of our country. Might as well go down there and just spit on them, because that's what they did to me. They spit right in my face after all the years that I poured, and all the money, my own money, that I poured into protecting this country.
Yeah. And you lost a lot of time. It was at the expense of your business and at your own expense.
I lost everything. I lost a marriage. I lost a business. I lost everything. Everything. Yeah. Some poor schmuck after that.
let's go ahead and continue with Cuomo. Yeah, I know, folks. I know. It's 8 months ago. No. This is important because the okay. So the key takeaway, especially for tonight, is this: So if you're of the belief, and here's okay. So let me back up a little bit. Think about the Nation of Islam. Think about their role in the chaos of the 60s, and okay, think about Malcolm X, and then of course him being killed, and okay, and then it was like a martyr type thing, and then the militancy of the Nation of Islam. At the same time, you had these shoots popping up of various other groups, including the Muslims of the Americas by Jelani. They were after my butt. And of course, to a lesser extent, of course, Taylor had other just as bad people on his butt.
I had a whole other set of issues. Doug has some issues, but we met in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the other thing too is you had other people, prior to and then around 9/11 and then after 9/11, other people. Remember Abel Danger. Remember the gentleman that worked for the Pentagon, Doug. I'm sorry, I can't remember his last name. Published a 300-page report about the threat, and he was fired. He was He was gone. What the heck was his name? Anyway, tremendous man. Okay, 300-page report on the threat from within, and that was under Bush. Nobody wanted to see that. So we were in the thick of this, but we can state with authority what is happening today because we have seen it. We saw it we saw the infrastructure being built ostensibly to combat the threat of Islam. Here's the problem. The NDAA, the Patriot Act, all of that was weaponized. And guess who? It was the communist Obama construct, but assisted by the Bush dynasty, as well as the Clinton wildebeest and husband, and all of the people in each one of their orbits, combined with not just our own intelligence agencies, but the Five Eyes. And here we are today. So
and look at what
they
did. Look at what they did to a president.
Yeah.
Think of what they can do to you individually. Islam leaves nothing but a path of destruction. I've witnessed it. Doug's witnessed it. Anybody that's dealt with it has witnessed it. If not, you will witness it. It knows no other way.
Think of the people, think of it this way. You get a knock on the door and you will have, I don't know, in our case, FBI agents saying, hey, you know what? You really pissed off Mom, okay? You really pissed off so-and-so, this cleric. Or you really shouldn't be talking about the takeover of the churches. Instead of, today, of course, that's against, social media policy and such, right? But how about this? You keep doing it. If we don't get you, they're gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Okay, as simple as that.
Yep.
And by the way, if they don't, there's a whole bunch of new laws here that you're violating. We'll make sure you get tossed in prison. That's what's going on now.
Yep. And unless we change it, it's not going to change. It will not change on its own. It's only going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen. Please just just look into history. Islam has not ever gone into a country and improved it. Ever. There is not a single case of that. And history does not lie. And the Muslim Brotherhood in their plan said, we're coming out with two-prong, the friendly flower dog, puppy dog deal, and terrorism. They said right in the paperwork that was the plan, and they're doing it. They're doing it. So there is no good Muslim and bad Muslim. They're all bad.
And they're all doing
all of them, and they're all doing it,
or turning a blind eye, or well, you get the idea. That's right. Yeah. There's no excuse. So, in closing,
how much time we got left?
I don't know.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to clarify something with folks. Okay, I do not draw a paycheck from Hagmann Report.
No, he doesn't.
I do not. Absolutely not. I want folks to understand that. And I do have a recovery fund set up, rt.recoveryfund@gmail.com, and help in the number 4, rt@gmail.com, which Doug so graciously puts in the show notes every time. And you can reach that through PayPal if you want to help out at all. I'd appreciate it. I'm about halfway of where I need to be.
Which, thank God, because I'll tell you what, and you know what?
And I got to get by another leg. So the temporary ones, it's not going to be lasting too much longer.
Well, you're wearing out your $6 million man leg?
I'm afraid it's going to break.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you what. That's what's. I mean, there's so much wrong with all of this, and folks, you know, here's the thing. I look at this. I look at where we are collectively. You know, the people in the chat, people listening to this on the audio platform, watching this on the X, whatever. Man, we all have our problems, don't we? I mean, every one of us.
Bundles of them.
Oh man, I have not met anyone who said, yeah, you know, everything's, I mean, I don't have a problem in the world, basically. Everyone has issues, and you know, man.
And when you guys tell us about them, I pray for you.
Yes.
I do pray for you, and I'm sure Doug prays for you as well, because so many of you are close to us, and we love you. When I say we love you, okay, that's not to sound faggy or anything. We love you.
Well.
Okay. And as Christians, I'm not ashamed to say that.
No, of course not. You know, no, of course not. A brotherly love and a concern. And that's the other thing too. The level of hatred that we're facing in this, believe me, these people hate you.
Yeah. We're going to battle for you. Trust me.
The influence that this Islamic the Islamic influence that is being pushed into the perverse trans LGBTQIA, whatever the thing is, that the infiltration into our legal system. It's not long. We know we don't have a justice system. We have a legal system. Mm-hmm. Into our enforcement, which you think you're going to see any accountability? Think again, ain't happening.
And the trans lining up with the Muslims and the communists, have you noticed that? Where you know damn good and well that Islam will murder a homosexual. I mean, they hang them from cranes every day in Iran. Maybe not so much right now. But that it's a common thing in Islamic countries to murder homosexuals. Yes. So here, Queers for Palestine, and you see all this stupid stuff at these protests, and it lets you know that these people are allying against us, against the republic, and for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'll be damned if they're taking that from us.
And that's why we do what we do. We try to do what we do. Yeah. With this platform and of course off air, and to let you know, and in this capacity, because this week especially, when you see the victimization by these groups, yes, and yes, the perverse side on the the Epstein crowd and such, we cannot forget, because the children to look when you can ask Craig Sawyer. When a child is rescued, wow! I'm going to tell you what I don't even know how to describe it except to say, praise God.
The angels celebrate when a child is rescued.
rescued from a dirt on the floor, the stained mattress by God knows what.
The camera in the corner on the tripod. Yeah.
But thank you, all of you. Thank you, because we could not do this without you. But here's the thing. They've weaponized all of the various covert facilities that really were intended to keep us safe. Flock cameras, facial recognition. They've taken over all of the electronics, on and on and on. If the takeaway again is they're coming after you. They're coming after me. They're coming after all of us. They're coming after our children.
And not just the flock cameras. Look at all what's going on in your own vehicles.
That too.
On the new vehicles coming off the assembly line.
Yeah.
All makes and models. I mean, they're taking pictures of your faces behind the steering wheel.
Yeah.
That's a problem, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, but you know,
that is a problem.
We can always get the old analog type cars. Oh, that's right. They were destroyed. Most of them were destroyed cash for clunkers back in 2009. Why? Because of the green, Clean Air Act, and then of course the green energy policy. Yeah, that's right. It's for your own good. All right.
We've had enough, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Now, lastly, we will come up with some ideas and some plans and some things, but we also have some things as well for those people who have supported us. Well, you know what? We're going to do what we can. You've heard this before. I'm just trying to do some things. It's been rough because we've both been crazy busy during the day doing the stuff that we need to do, and even in the middle of the night doing the things we need to do.
And our health. Neither one of us has the greatest health.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah. But bottom line is this. We're going to do what we can and give you more and more information, more specific information, stuff that you know what? I got to tell you right now, RT, this is folks, this right here, what this is a hard drive. I can't see it. It's a hard drive. And on this hard drive are copies of a lot of stuff that we should show people, but not out in the wild. Okay. This is stuff, fruits of a quarter century of investigative labor. And as recent as last month. But solutions, we have to talk. But we're out of time tonight. Thanks for joining us. God bless each and every one of you. RT, thanks for joining me. I know it's a hell of a night, a hell of a day.
And Danny, thank you, Danny Smith. I wanted to say thank you to a friend of mine.
Well, thank you, Danny.
Yep.
And everyone else, mods, thank you, and people in the chat, thank you, and people who listened and support us and hype the program, thank you. God bless you. Eric the Tech, God bless you. It was good to see you briefly today. Until next Tuesday.